Stay connected to the world around you. KPBS brings you trusted news, compelling stories, and in-depth reporting every day. Wherever life takes you, KPBS is here, on the radio, online, and on the go. Discover more at kpbs.org.
Good morning, I'm Lawrence K. Jackson. It's Monday, January 5th. What to watch out for in San Diego politics this new year. More on that next, but first, the headlines. Roughly 9 million California residents could benefit from expanded access to in vitro fertilization or IVF treatment. That's according to the nonprofit newsroom Cal Matters. This news comes from yet another law that went into effect January 1st. SB 729 requires large group insurers to cover the diagnosis and infertility treatment. The new law also now includes single and same-sex couples. It does not include those receiving federally regulated benefits like Medi-Cal or Medicare, or those who get their insurance through religious employers. Cal Matters says that advocates of the bill anticipate coverage could in time extend to small group insurers as well. If approved, the expansion would include most Californians with employer-sponsored health insurance plans. If you are heading south on Interstate 5 near the San Ysidro border crossing, please be aware that significant delays are expected. The first phase of a nearly $3 million construction project is set to start at 9 a.m. tomorrow. The Camino de la Plaza on-ramp, as well as parts of the 5, are closing for more than 2 days. You will see fewer lanes if you are heading towards the border. This first phase of construction will conclude on January 9th. California Highway Patrol says the work will improve security, safety, and traffic flow. They are urging drivers to expect delays and to please plan ahead. Just days before 2025 drew to a close, a heroic rescue took place in La Mesa. The San Diego Humane Society responded to an animal hoarding case at a 500-square-foot residence. They found nearly 40 dogs and puppies left alone, walking around in feces and living in overall unsanitary conditions. Authorities believe the dogs may have been left alone for almost a week. Each dog has now been microchipped, dewormed, and received a medical exam. However, the Humane Society says many have medical and behavioral needs that will take additional resources and time to work through. From KPBS, you're listening to San Diego News Now. Stay with me for more of the local news you need.
Figuring out the right sport for your kid can feel overwhelming. I'm taking that journey with my son Dorian, exploring different sports and revisiting the fields that I grew up playing. Together, we're searching for the right fit and maybe reconnecting with a few old memories along the way. It's Game Time Decision, a new series from KPBS. Join us at kpbs.org/gametime.
2026 is going to be a big year in local politics. Some policy decisions could have major impacts on the future of San Diego. For this year's first Why It Matters segment, Voice of San Diego's Scott Lewis offers 3 things to watch out for in the new year.
At the top of the list is a possible ballot measure to address the border sewage crisis. A coalition of labor unions and nonprofits is asking voters to put a half-cent sales tax on purchases countywide. The tax would fund a solution to the sewage crisis that has plagued the border for decades. The only problem is they're not sure what exactly that solution is. We'll be monitoring to see what they come up with. Next, the city of San Diego has a waste problem of its own. Proponents will soon be gathering signatures to repeal the trash fee that the city started charging single-family homeowners last year. If voters support the referendum, the city's already serious budget problems could get very intense. And third on the list, finding a path forward for Midway Rising. That's the project that aims to revitalize the sports arena neighborhood and build thousands of new homes. But the courts threw out 2 ballot measures that lifted the building height limit in the Midway area, effectively stalling the project. The developers said, though, no problem. They could use another state law to build higher than 30 feet. But the city attorney and the mayor still have not said that they agree that that's a viable plan. We're still waiting to hear from them. Local politics will be fun this year, and we'll be there to help you follow it. For Voice of San Diego, I'm Scott Lewis, and that's why it matters.
San Diego's crown jewel, Balboa Park, now has parking fees for the first time in its long history. Reporter Jacob Ayer says the new fees will look different for residents and those beyond city limits.
Today marks the first day the city of San Diego will charge visitors to park a vehicle in Balboa Park. That's upset some local residents like Roberta Henry and Joyce Claggett. They visit the park multiple times a week.
To have to pay it's not right. I don't care for it. I think it's going to keep locals away.
Balboa's new parking fees are a tier-based system that comes with higher costs the closer a car is to the heart of the park. Meters start at $2.50 an hour, and the cost for daily parking lot use ranges from $5 to $16. Discounted rates are available for city residents if they register their license plate online. The portal to do that went live Friday. A city spokesperson says there will be a 1-month grace period for enforcement. Jacob Ayer, KPBS News.
San Diego is preparing to enforce new wildfire safety regulations for defensible space around homes. Metro reporter Andrew Bowen says they'll apply in most of the city.
San Diego's canyons can be both beautiful and hazardous. They provide greenery and habitat for wildlife, but can also fuel wildfires. Dry and windy weather can sweep embers into the air and ignite homes that are blocks, even miles away from a fire's front line, says San Diego Fire Marshal Tony Tosca.
You can have an ember cast, a singular ember, and you have ember load, which is multiple embers just raining down on a structure. And one of those, if that gets into the structure, increases the likelihood that that's going to transmit fire to that structure.
Embers are especially dangerous in what's called Zone 0, a 5-foot buffer zone surrounding a home or structure. New rules will soon ban combustible materials within Zone 0. Assistant Fire Marshal Daniel Hypes says the rules are also meant to protect the fire department's resources in the event of a major fire storm.
We know we can protect homes if it's 1 or 2 structures threatened, but when we get thousands of homes, we need a lot of those homes to be able to survive without firefighters being able to protect each individual one.
Officials say the regulations will apply to existing homes starting in February 2027, and they're limited to San Diego's wildfire hazard zones, which cover roughly 2/3 of the city. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
Our Lady of Guadalupe Church in Logan Heights has a history of activism. Now, reporter Gustavo Solis says the church is opening an immigrant resource center to help people targeted by mass deportations.
Over the last few months, Father Scott Santa Rosa has noticed that less people are going to church. It's not exactly a mystery. Most of the members of this Catholic church in Logan Heights are Latino immigrants, and they are afraid of being deported.
One woman, one Sunday, outside of church, she said to me, Padre, como están cazándonos si fuéramos animales. That's what she said. They're hunting us as if we're animals.
Father Santa Rosa has heard from multiple families impacted by these arrests. The first thing he does for those families is acknowledge their pain.
At least they feel like, someone recognizes that I'm living in this state of worry and anxiety and fear. So that's step one. And then step two is to say, what can we do together about it?
For now, an answer to that question is the Pope Francis Center. It's a resource center where immigrants from the community will be able to connect with lawyers, attend legal workshops, and get access to mental health services. The center will have a soft opening Monday and celebrate its official grand opening February 1st. Gustavo Solis, KPBS News.
And now, some personal news about one of our longest-serving KPBS journalists. For nearly 3 decades, Thomas Fudge has been a trusted voice here. As a KPBS reporter, host, and editor, Tom wove his journalistic insight into the fabric of San Diego. And today, he's retiring. He joined Katie Anastas to reflect on his broadcasting career and the evolution of San Diego journalism as he experienced it.
Tom, you spent most of your career here at KPBS, but it all started in the Midwest at WSUI Radio in Iowa City. Take us back to 1980s public radio. What got you interested in reporting, and what was it like as you were first starting out?
Well, I was interested in reporting because I was interested in talking about what I considered to be big issues, society, politics, and I loved to write. Those were kind of the two things that made me a journalist. And I got into public broadcasting. Like you said, my first public radio job was in Iowa City. And I got into that because my parents listened to public radio. So even as a kid, I became familiar with All Things Considered, and then they added Morning Edition, and then they added all sorts of other things. I ended up getting into public radio. I graduated from college in Minnesota, moved to Iowa, moved back to Minnesota to work for Minnesota Public Radio until I was laid off and freelance for a couple of years. And in Minnesota, I was getting tired of the weather, and my then wife was really getting tired of the weather. And she wasn't crazy about her job. So I said, well, I'll look elsewhere. And this is where I ended up, thankfully, in San Diego.
And you joined KPBS in the late 90s and then began hosting the interview talk show These Days. We went back into the archives and we found one episode that really stood out. It aired in April of 2000. And you were questioning whether new technology at the time was killing the written literary novel as it was traditionally known. And we have a clip from your introduction to that episode. Let's hear it now.
Everybody likes a good story, and maybe the definition of a good story today isn't much different from what it was 200 years ago. But the means of storytelling are very different now. Movies, TV, and computers have tended to emphasize the visual image over the written word. The sheer volume of information we receive on a daily basis and the speed at which we receive it have created new ways of seeing and understanding.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better myself.
Well, I feel like that new ways of seeing and understanding certainly holds true today.
I really don't remember doing that show, by the way. I don't know. I interviewed and talked to so many people, and some of it has been lost to my memory. But that was fun, listening to that.
Well, I'm sure you've seen over the course of your career, we as journalists have kind of taken on this new way of seeing and understanding. What comes to mind for you as a journalist when you hear that back?
Well, different ways of seeing and understanding. There have been a lot of changes in journalism since I graduated from J School in Minnesota. That was in the late 80s, and at that point, daily newspaper employment was at its height. And it has been falling ever since then as, new modalities have come into play, the internet. I mean, the old economic model of the daily newspaper just is really barely there anymore. And so there have been a lot of changes. When I first got to KPBS, we were a public radio newsroom. That's what we did. We had a website. KPBS had a website, but it was really nothing more than a marketing vehicle and something that people could go to on the internet. Now we present a lot of news.
With all those changes happening, are there things that give you hope for the future of San Diego news and for KPBS?
Oh, I do have hope. Things are changing, and of course, public broadcasting got a hit this year when President Trump eliminated funding for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. So there are going to be challenges, and there are challenges, but I spent my career as a journalist, and it was a great privilege for me to do that. I was really very lucky, and I think in the future people are still going to want to hear the facts and want to hear people present facts in their best effort to get to the truth. There's always going to be a demand for that. And so I guess that's the thing that gives me hope. When young people ask me if they should become a journalist, I ask them, well, is it something you love to do? And if they say yes, I say, go ahead. There will be a way in the future. It's going to look different, but there will be a way to present journalism to the public.
That was KPBS's Katie Anastas speaking with SciTech reporter Thomas Fudge. Congratulations on retiring, Tom. Thank you for your 27 years at KPBS. That's it for the podcast today. As always, you can find more San Diego news online at kpbs.org. I'm Lawrence K. Jackson. Thanks for listening and subscribing. By doing so, you're supporting public media, and I thank you for that. Have a great day.
From El Centro to everywhere, we're Voices del Valle.
Voices del Valle?
Voices del Valle is a team-produced podcast about coming of age in California's Imperial Valley.
I love Voices del Valle.
On the next episode of Voices del Valle, we will talk with teens about their cheer and soccer championship seasons. I've got to listen to that. Voices del Valle, fresh voices, bold stories made in the valley.
Voices del Valle. Find us on KPBS or wherever you get your podcasts.